And like, I mean, was there any time where like, I mean, like I said, I don't know how much you can speak on it, but people that were members, were they all wealthy, or were they just like Joe Bloggs, like just got a membership sort of thing?
We did have, dare I say, normal people. That's
what I mean. Joe Bloggs. That's my normal Joe Bloggs.
we had those, but when I say those, they're talking still in a certain socioeconomical status.
Right.
So we're talking about people that, you know, will come in and spend $5,000, $10,000, and it was just, okay, see you later. See you next week. To the other end where we've got people spending millions.
Yes.
So, and like, so we did have kind of normal people who were paying their membership fee. But then we also had people that weren't paying their membership fee, who were of a certain socio-economical status where we know they're going to spend £1, £2, £3 million and not.
You can't dare ask them for membership, really, when you're spending that type of money.
We're not going to.
Brilliant.
They would get things complimentary. We didn't pay a penny. You know, we had on our menu some wines that were like £4,000 a bottle.
Crazy.
And they're not going to pay it. They're not going to pay a penny for that, because we know what they're worth, their value. We would put our highest clients in hotels. We would pay for their flights to come over here. All that kind of stuff. They get that kind of
proper prestige.
They get that treatment, because we know what they're going to spend. So it was very much going into that world. It's opened my eyes to a lot of this segregation, also to a lot of what people actually really think about money, and where, you know, who you are is determined on who you are and how much money you've got. So I saw a lot of that. If you kind of, once you're in that world, it's normal, kind of coming out and explaining to people that when people who've got money, they get things free.
They get more money.
They get more money.
Got money. You got everything you need. You don't have to pay for anything. I mean,
which is part of they can afford it, but because of who they are and where they're actually putting their money and where you want them to put their money is completely different world.
Not good. Not really good. But this is the world we live in, and we kind of just have to get on with it and accept it. But you guys, you need to spread the love a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways. But no, brilliant. And like, in terms of like, maybe like not Playboy, but maybe the casino that you worked in before, was there anyone that you saw like just gambled their life away, sort of thing?
Well, there's one story that one guy told me, which I'll never forget. He lost, not necessarily, so actually two stories. So one where this guy, he basically lost all his money enough to he had to walk home. So he had to walk home from Soho. So imagine you're in Soho and he lived in like, I can't remember, it was something like Stanmore or something like that. So you imagine the journey you've got to walk.
To Stanmore?
Yeah. So you imagine that's a good, in context, about 10, 12 miles.
Yeah.
And he lost every penny that he couldn't even get a bus home. So that was a sobering experience for himself, where he didn't, when he come in after that, he always spent within his means, because that was that's enough.
That's amazing to know that there's a story that you can tell where someone actually learned from. Do you know what I mean? Being
absolutely. From being
at the brassic as you could get, and actually learn from it. But I mean, you know, like some people don't know, do they, Julian?
No.
And like it's scary, because anyone who feels that they do have a bit of a gambling issue or problem, like, it can actually destroy families.
Absolutely.
And it's quite a big thing. And I'd just say, like, reach out to someone if that's something that you're struggling with, because it can be really fun and enjoyable. But it's a very thin line, isn't there?
Yeah, so you find nowadays a lot of casinos, everyone, even online, the betting shops, all that, they've got to do a lot of safer gambling stuff now.
Right.
So we've got a responsibility from when everyone comes in our casino. We've got a responsibility to kind of know that they're gambling within their means. We ask a lot of personal questions. We go dig deep into a lot of, which sometimes doesn't go well, because you're literally asking someone, well, how much do you earn a year? You know, what do you do? What's your outgoings? So we're asking a lot of personal questions. So that can put people in the wrong way and right way. So put people up the right way or wrong way, should I say.
Yeah.
But we do that, but we do it in good faith. So it's not we want to know your private business and get involved like that. Yeah. We want to make sure that when you come in, you're spending within your means. So,
and that's excellent. That's a really good thing. There's
been cases in the past where, people have come in and they probably drunk a few too many. Yes. And they've lost all their money. They've lost thousands of pounds. And the next day they've come in and said, why did you let me do that? Why did you let me spend that money? You knew I was intoxicated. You knew I couldn't, I wasn't, you let me spend it.
Yeah.
I want my money back. And there's been cases where they've had to give their money back because they've spent money where they shouldn't have. So we've had that as well. And there's been some really high court cases in that's happened where, certain clients have gone into casinos and lost millions and they got their money back because they said, well, you shouldn't have let me.
I wasn't in my right mind.
I was in my right mind.
I was intoxicated.
That's right.
How was I know?
Yeah.
You were the guys that were sober.
Right. So it's your responsibility. So we have got a social responsibility for people.
Fair dues to them.
Casinos. We've got a thing. So now it's gone kind of the other way, where we're kind of really knowing every customer. We do a lot of due diligence. We do a thing called EDD as well, which is enhanced due diligence.
Oh, wow.
So we've gone right into you. We want to know. So you've got 6 businesses. What's the names of the businesses?
Yes.
How much money are you turning in over? What's going on there? How do you fund your gambling? So it comes from a good place where we just want to know how you're funding and where the money comes from. So we're covering, with the EDD, we're covering a lot more basis than the DD. So the DD is due diligence in terms of what do you do for a living? How much money do you earn?
Yeah.
Kind of stops there. With the EDD, it's like, okay, you spend this much money now in our casino. We've got to know a bit more information. And when I say that, I'm talking about £20,000, £30,000 a month you're spending in a casino. We need to know where this money comes from.
Yeah.
As well. And if you're coming in with cash on a day, some of our customers can spend 5-10 grand. Once you get to a certain threshold, we will then turn around and say, right, this is how much cash you've got. Where does it come from?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because all money laundering and all that comes into play, doesn't it?
That's right.
And I know that from banking.
Casinos are one of the biggest, easiest money laundering caveats to have. Of course, things to have. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of that now. 10 years ago, we didn't ask a question, we didn't. But now we ask a lot of questions when you walk in there. So that kind of, it's hit us a little bit in terms of clients and stuff. Especially where I work now, is a lot more with Israelis, a lot more Arabs. They're not necessarily want to give up more information.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of where that comes from and stuff. Some of them are, some of them are not. Some of the higher clientele we've got, we don't need to ask them because we know who they are.
By now, you know their children, their pets, the mum and dad are.
Because it's all out there for the world to know. So
absolutely.
Certain players we don't have to know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If they're a footballer, we've got some footballers that come in. We've got people that own businesses that I won't mention. We know they are. So we know that they're good for it. So we don't have to go. We have to know certain details, but not too much. We don't have to kind of harass them.
Absolutely, because then you're kind of knocking the service then as well, aren't you? It's just getting a bit ridiculous. But no, it's great to know that they're like doing the safeguarding with people and, just making sure that people can afford to spend. I mean, I know years ago, a guy that I worked with, his dad basically gambled their whole house.
Yeah.
And he remembers that as a trauma as a child, you know. And it took a lot of time for them to just get back on an even keel. But that's great.
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
So your switch from casino to being a therapist, the talk therapist. Was there a moment where you knew that you wanted to help people? You like, what was there a moment that stood out to you where you were like, do you know what? I want to make that change. I want to do something different. Was there a calling that they say, happens for some people?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, before I actually started studying and before I decided I would go for it, I was told, and this was probably about 8 to 9 years before that, my friend was in uni, so I went to visit him in uni.
Yeah.
And it was in Lincoln, actually. I remember it. And I was there with some people I didn't know. Obviously, I knew him, so I went out for him, but I knew other people. I met other people there.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this one guy in the room, just randomly. And he turned to me and said to me, "You're a really good listener, actually." And I was like, "Oh, am I? Okay, cool." And I didn't think nothing of it. It was a throwaway comment. We're 22 at the time, I'm 23. No one really, that kind of thing doesn't really have a conversation of me.
22-year-olds don't even say things like that.
Exactly.
You're a good listener.
Yeah, I must have been really good listening to it.
No, literally.
I don't, in case I remember the conversation, what it was about. I remember him saying that. And I remember that was always rung in my head. Like, what he meant by that, what was that about, kind of thing. What does that even mean?
Wow.
So he said that to me and it rung in my head. And then it was, fast forward 10 years onto that.
Yeah.
When I actually originally started studying, which when I was 2014, what was that make me? 32 I started.
A young man.
Young man. And it started it. So that was kind of and then I always wanted to help people. I remember being back in school days, and if anyone was getting picked on, I was always like, "Hey," stepping in, and do you know what I mean? I was that guy.
Yeah.
And any kind of injustice or anything like that, I was like, "Hey,"
not having it.
Yeah. So that was always there with me.
Brilliant.
So I think when I decided to go and start an introductory course, it was quite an easy one. And I knew that casino business was just a job and a career for me. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. And
yes.
It pays the bills. I understand that. And I have a lot of fun there.
I was going to say, it gave you some good times.
It does.
Definitely.
It is. And it still does sometimes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that I was passionate about. So going into that world of therapy was very different because it's like, and I didn't know exactly. I was a bit naive in terms of what it entails and what it is. So it was kind of a transition to kind of, I think my naivety helped me. Because if I really
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes just kind of going into it with your eyes closed a bit helps.
It does.
Because if you sit there and ponder on what might or what could, or is that a lot to deal with?
Absolutely. So I think my naivety kind of led me into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what done me. So when I went to Birkbeck University, started my introductory course, it was within 2 weeks I knew that was what I was going to do.
Yeah.
It was very simple.
Brilliant.
One of the stories I always tell people is that this is talking about my naivety. When I went into go start my introductory course, I was thinking, I'm going to help people. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to help them through their problems, solve them, whatever. The first question that was written up on my board, I remember sitting there in class. It was, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Why? What do you mean? Who am I?" And I remember physically and closing up, and I'm like, "Why do you want to know who I am for?"
Yeah.
"Who are you?" That was the first question I was asked.
Wow.
And I was like, "What do you mean?
What
who
a big
am I?
question.
Why?" Yeah. And I was like, "What is this?" So that was my first introduction, and that was the first thing my teacher said was like, you need to know who you are before you talk to anyone else.
You're going to know about everyone else and you don't know who you are?
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
I was like blown away by that. And and I remember that my reaction was like, "What do you mean, me?"
Yeah.
And as the time went on, I was learning about me. I was learning about who I am, what I do, how I react, what this, and it almost turned me insane for a few minutes because you're starting to think about everything now. It's like, I walk this way, I talk this way, I do this. Why do I do that? Why does it happen? All these questions come up. And
absolutely.
I remember that first 6 weeks was crazy for me because I was questioning everything. Why do I eat that? Why do I look that way? Why do I go that way instead of that way? Everything was just come up as a question that I never thought about before. And it was about who am I? And that was the first thing we had to learn.
How important.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing, isn't it?
And it doesn't end. It's a continuous, every day I'm doing it now, even still. I'm 10 years down the line. It's still something that I'm learning and doing and realizing who I think that's what makes
it's got to make you a good counselor, though. It's got to make you a good therapist.
Yeah.
What's the other word? Psychotherapist. Psychotherapist. Yeah, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So to answer, sorry, I went off piece a little bit. To answer
yes.
So transitional wise, it was easy because I didn't think much of it. So I think the less is more sometimes, isn't it? And I think that's what helped me. I didn't think too much of it. I thought, let me go and see what it's like. If I like it, I like it. I don't. C'est la vie kind of thing. I've spent 1 year just whatever, doing something different. But it was that when I realised, okay.
This is for me. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to do.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Very easy.
Brilliant. Because, it's not always easy, is it? Going into something brand new. It can be a little bit scary, a little bit daunting, but be brave and do it anyway.
Why not?
And look, it's changed your whole career, so to speak. So that's amazing. Which then, I suppose, brings me on to what is counselling? Like, for anyone out there that doesn't know, a bit nervous, doesn't know how to sort of source someone that's suited for them. Like, tell us a bit about like what is talk therapy?
Yeah, so talking therapy, counselling, or however you want to call it, psychotherapy, whichever one you want to go down, it's a unique environment where you are normally one-to-one with somebody in a room, private, confidential space, contained space where you can talk to somebody regarding any sort of issue, problem you have, even if it doesn't have to be an issue. It could just be something that's happened in the week or whatever it is. So it's an opportunity for you to speak to someone outside of your family, outside of your normal, dare I say that word, outside of work, outside of things, that you can talk to someone and specifically get a person who's going to kind of listen and wants to understand and help you deal with whatever that issue that is as well. So that's basically the premise of it. It's a really private space for you to kind of talk and say how you feel about certain things. And that sometimes doesn't happen with everybody very easily, depending on your background, culture, your kind of experiences in life. You might not find that easy. So, and we understand that as therapists, that is not an easy concept. The idea that you're going to be in this space that you've probably foreign space you've never been into. So you're getting thrown into somewhere that necessarily is not something you're used to. So we understand that, and we kind of are ready to kind of contain the environment. So it's something new. It basically is a space for you to kind of go somewhere, speak to someone that's outside of your circle. There's no judgment whatsoever. Whatever you bring. I always say to my clients, I don't care what you've done. I'm interested in the why. And what brought you here and what's brought you to the place where you are that you're kind of having issues with or not. So that's really important. The non-judgmental side of it is very important. And I think that's a big reason why people don't necessarily open up and talk, because they're worried about what the person's going to say back to them.
Absolutely.
So you're in an environment where the person's not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to talk back to you and say to you, what did you do that for? None of that. You get none of that. You get someone that's going to listen and just take in what you said. Because like I said, we're interested in the story, not what you've done. It's really important. And I've had, as clients, I've had sex offenders. I've had people that have beat up their partners. I've had people that beat up their brothers and sisters, or I've had people also that, that have witnessed certain things and a lot of different kind of traumas and stuff. So there's a lot of different reasons people come to us as well.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that there's no standard counsellor.
No.
I mean, you're a black man counsellor, which is amazing. Big up. Because there's a lot of black men out here that would probably find it more comfortable talking to you than they would a middle-aged white woman who one is a woman, two is doesn't come from their cultural background, and so I think it's important to know that there are people like yourself out here that people can select who's going to be appropriate for them. And is there a way that maybe you could try it? Do they do things like that? Where you could just try a session just to see if that's the right fit for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do. So I personally, in my private practice, what I've realized, and specifically talking about what you're saying now, is the clients that I've had recently, I've kind of been sourced me out in terms of, because I'm a black, young man, go there. Of course. And they wanted to kind of have someone that they feel like they can already connect with or will understand where they're coming from. When I studied, going back to that kind of, the first thing we're talking about is, I was in a room full of middle-aged white women, and predominantly my field is generated by middle-aged white women. I think there was one other guy, actually, maybe two, and he was still an old white guy as well. So that the field is very dominated by that, and that's just, it is what it is. There's no, we could go into why that is, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
And it was apparent then in that moment that I might become a niche.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
The field, I might become a niche.
100%.
That was something that's kind of coming later on, and thinking, well, actually, maybe I could market this almost.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Because, just from what I hear, it's like, well, how are they going to be able to relate to me?
Yeah.
It's like you said, if it's a man thing and it's a cultural thing, some of it's already eliminated.
Yeah.
Because you've kind of already built a picture, in a sense. Just, do you know what I'm saying when I say that?
I think, and going off by my recent clients, I've heard enough that these are black men as well that have come forward, and they're in their 30s, they're into life. They've sourced that because I think they probably feel like I don't have to explain myself to a certain degree. I don't have to kind of talk about this, that, etc., because I understand it to a certain degree already. So I'm already kind of 30-40% into the connected, build up or more. So they don't have to explain why they do this, why they do that, But interestingly enough, I still do ask them.
I was going to say, obviously, but it kind of just gives you a right angle.
Yeah.
It allows you to speak the right. I don't know, the right language, even. Yeah. It allows you to relate, just absolutely. Easier than, the average. So no, that's really great. I love that. Absolutely love that. And big up to all the black men that are seeking counselling and just, because we need to talk, right?
Absolutely. And I know this because of my private practice and because of where I work. The least demographic of people that come to counselling is black and ethnic minorities. We're the least. Most of my clientele are predominantly white, or I've got a few, like a couple of Asians, but predominantly black and ethnic minorities. We don't come forward and talk. I think there's a cultural thing there. I think there's an idea that everything's kept in house. You don't talk about your business. You know what I mean? We're very much about keeping it in house and not talking about our business.
And do you feel more manly?
You feel more manly as well. Yeah. There's all these kind of stereotypes and tropes that we've told ourselves over the years that are complete rubbish. Yeah. That we need to get away from if we're going to evolve and develop as as a ethnic minority. We need to kind of come away from these because they're not helping us. They're completely coming against us. So I've got a client as well who's a young boy. He's only 15. He was recently really quite hurt badly, outside his school. Yeah. So, there's a lot of trauma and stuff that goes with that, right?
Absolutely.
Coming out of school. I'm trying to engage with him now, but because of he's this young black guy and he talks a certain way and he's from the street, I'm trying to engage him and saying, what's going on? How you feeling? What's going on? And he's not there. He doesn't want to. Because it's such a foreign thing for him to do and to talk about it. It's like, he just like to me, what happened, innit? That happens, innit? I'm like, but you was in hospital for like 4 weeks. Tell me about it. It's like, boy, it is what it is, innit? That's his attitude, And I'm just like, but what's that? How did it left you feeling? What's going on? And he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to because it's so foreign to him. And there's a big thing behind that. And it's a big word that we don't say enough, especially in the black community, is vulnerability. Yeah, we don't like vulnerability. Vulnerability is uncomfortable to us. And that's what I'm asking him to do. I'm asking him to be vulnerable, but I'm trying to do it in a safe environment where none of his friends are watching. He doesn't have to act out. He doesn't have to be anybody. He can be himself and be authentically himself and tell me exactly what he's going to feel. I ain't going to laugh at him. I'm not going to tell him he's stupid. I'm not going to tell him, pull up your trousers. I'm not going to do none of that to him. I'm going to listen to him. But for him, that's so far apart in terms of his world and what he's grew up in and where he knows. it's really hard for him.
Yeah.
So we are very at my early stages of just trying to break that barrier down. Fantastic. And that's hard for him. It's very hard for him to do that because he's just not used to it. And I think,
do you know what? Well done for him coming.
Well, see, this is another part of it. He's
actually stepping in that room.
He has, but it also, it wasn't his decision. It was his mum's.
Right.
So that's another thing. And I found with counselling in general, if you're not the person to come forward and step inside the room, you're less likely to engage and less likely to get anything from it. Because if someone says you need counselling, I'm going to take you counselling.
Yeah.
It's a very much different environment.
Yeah.
And the premise is completely different because you're not the one motivated to be there. You're there because mum or your partner's told you you've got to be there. So,
but I suppose at a tender age, it's only going to be mum or dad, or someone who looks after you, cares for you. That's going to encourage you. But
so he's struggling right now.
Yeah,
we're at the early stages. Yeah, I really hope he sticks with it. I'm not sure if he will, but I really do hope.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, that's fantastic. I love
but it's definitely a
it's all ages. It's all it's all colours. It's all shapes. It's all sizes, and everyone has things.
Absolutely.
You know.
Even to go back to your point made earlier about kind of relating and things like that, the way I deal with my clients is it's a blank kind of canvas for me. Like, regardless of your background, even if you're, my oldest client, she's a 72-year-old white woman.
Yes.
Right? Now, in terms of relatability, you might think, well, you're in a different generation. You lived in a different era. Like, you don't have a clue what's going on. So, in terms of that, that's fine because I don't have to know necessarily, but I'm there to listen to you teach me what's going on for you. How was growing up for you? What was that like? Etc. Like that. So we don't have to look the same. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to be the same color, creed, sex, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We just have to be willing. We are willing always to kind of talk and share and understand where you're coming from, really. That's the story. That's the important part. It's like, okay, you are a 72-year-old white woman.
Yes.
You were brought up in the Second World War almost. Do you know what I mean? But tell me what that's like for you. And that's what I want to know. I'm not telling you I know. I haven't got a clue. But that's what, that's the beauty of being a therapist. We don't know. We don't have the answers.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your story been about? What's your life story? Tell me how it's been for you. Because even talking about the relatability about two black guys, they could be two black guys from the same area, but have completely different experiences.
Absolutely.
So you've got to know, regardless of, you both from what the same area, you're saying, no, your experiences could be completely different.
100%.
So we're about the individual more so about the background story. That's important because, some people can tell me, this. I'm going, I know it. That's great, but we don't have to. It's not important. It's really not important.
Fantastic.